It's the 13th of 10, 2016. There's two subjects in this small election here. The one is the use of torture in countries, and that's both West and Federation Russia and United States and England and so on. Normally, we think of torture as a consequence of war, any kind of war. We see broken war laws. There is international made wars for behavior in conflict or war. And one of the trouble is that those laws often are broken in the last phase of the war where there's different maybe civil groups involved or maybe the armed um, the armed forces is tired and exhausted and traumatized. And everybody who knows about war knows that if her army is traumatized or exhausted, there are more tendency to mistakes or personal revenge. And especially when we look at civil war, things that boil up under Yugoslavian war, there was a lot of pressure that's been kept down by the communism or strong leadership. You call it regimes or something like that. And often smaller groups that's been kept down under pressure will, if they have the power, revenge. You know, if you are suppressed as a culture or something, you are not allowed to speak your language. You cannot do your religion. You are maybe blacklisted from jobs. You are maybe hazard or something like that. That pressure can go on for years for some cultures, some people. And under conflict, if there is a boiling conflict, what we call a civil war, for example, the pressure of these things comes open out. And that means that I had a friend in some of the refugees from Yugoslavia who told me that from going in a class with friends that were mixed from Muslim, Christian, and so on, from one day to another they started shooting each other, right? So it's a long history of you did me wrong or my granddad wrong, so I'm gonna take it out on you, you know. And in the reason why we made these kind of laws in war was that for first it was not illegal to run war in civil society. We see that in Syria right now that towns are bombed, right? That's not legal. We also see in there was also war for war victims or refugees or even war prisoners, that a war prisoner have the right to communicate home to his family. I think it's once a month or something. And they also have the right to be fed, get food, get clothes, get doctor help. And the refugees has also these rules, even more rules as getting a job or study, right? All of these wars both the laws for prisoners and for refugees is often broken. And that's very sad because the civilization made those laws to protect both the soldier and the civil society about devastating late problems, meaning that if a war prisoner or a refugee is exposed to more than a human man can take, you mean torture, there can be isolation, violence, or hunger. The damage after the war is bigger than if the law is kept, right? And that's why we have the laws. So actually, you can say that in this situation where there's used of torture against prisoner or even against refugee, or you could say political criticized opinion or something, And then you have delayed damage on society for many years after, which is both cost a lot of money and will also affect the world structures of peace and peacemaking, because there will be some families hardly hit by this cruelty that will actually come in seat somewhere, you know. So I have experienced the use of torture in a diplomat case, meaning that I'm not a armed person. I don't try to make a conflict, or I don't put a role to a conflict. I make peace, right? But still, I was tortured from it's psychology torture, isolation. People take my money, they're taking my child, and so on. That's actually a break on refugee laws, or you could say personal laws, right? I actually had a letter going to Vladimir Putin in Federation Russia and Obama in the White House concerning that I think that there might be forgotten Cold War prisoners on both sides of the line, meaning that when the red carpet was gone, there might be United States prisoner in Federation Russia, and there might be Federation Russian um, citizen in United States without rights. Okay, these broken rules is for military staff, civil and military spies and stuff like that. Even maybe just citizens of those countries. The reason why I think they're forgotten is that after the Cold War, Russia grew stronger and more, you could say, more free. And in that way, that there might have been some present or forgotten in those changes because the office were changed and stuff like that. And I also think that the world often move on. I can see it in my case that everybody got their thing going on, their jobs, their artistic way, their diplomacy. There's nobody waiting for a prisoner somewhere, except from family maybe. So it's not a governmentally high, you could say, high attended thing. It's a prisoner is often forgotten because it's a, you have to admit that you actually didn't do much to get them free. You have to, I mean, the state has, and maybe the damage on that person is maybe shameful to show. If you got me home to United States, I would look like some kind of beat it up, prisoner or something. I'm not looking strong and healthy. And that might set the problem to a lot of prisoners around the world that nobody really cares. Um, and that question is that actually there's a law against keeping prisoner too long, you know. So actually it's appeal to get the prisoners home.